I think there was a spark moment, and it took me, frankly, a lot of conversations with folks after I had launched our business to even kind of reflect back and realize, like, when did I actually care enough, or like, what was the catalyst moment to kind of wake me up from just walking the path of working full time, dumping money into our 401k, typical traditional investments, which are still worthwhile things to look at, of course, but they don't really grow your net worth, and I look back at, this is a couple companies ago when I was still in the corporate W-2 career. And I was at a unicorn company, worth over $1 billion. This is the cool way to say that. And I was putting in those 80 to 100-hour work weeks. And at the time, I have 2 young kids now. They're a little bit older, but at the time, my first one was an infant. And I was putting in those hours, and I was not able to see my infant son for like 2 weeks, because by the time I'd come home, he was asleep, and I'd leave so early in the morning, I didn't really get to see him. And around that time, I thought, is this really going to work? Is this going to be the path that makes sense for us and for our family for the next 20, 30 years? Yeah, because I didn't see an off ramp, or whatever you want to call, the exit hatch, whatever metaphor you want to use for the corporate career. And so that was the spark. I didn't really make a connection until a couple of years later, when I realized, I just kind of stumbled my way into a real estate tech company. And it was actually because like a mentor guided me there. And on nights and weekends, I started kind of voraciously, almost obsessively, like studying this stuff, because I was seeing how successful the folks we were helping, like, this was a company tailored toward investors. It was called Lending Home. And we were like helping real estate fix and flippers fund their deals. And so I was inside this company, seeing how well those investors were doing. And I'm sitting there going, wow, that's a lot of zeros. I necessarily want to become a flipper. I can't swing a hammer whatsoever, Vincent. Like I am hopeless on that. I mean, I use YouTube to fix some stuff around our house sometimes, but beyond that, I really got the bug. And, I devoured over 400 podcasts in the scope of probably the first 18 months. I read over 24 books on nights and weekends. I was really, really looking deep into, like, how am I going to go and start building other income streams for our family? And that's when we started doing a couple of things that in hindsight, maybe would have done a little differently. So we invested in buying some small rentals. We bought like a duplex. We bought some single family home rentals. These are all real estate investments, like in the other part of the country. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't quite moving the needle fast enough for us. And it was quite a bit more work, I think, during my corporate job than I expected. Yep. But ultimately we were just like, something's got to change. And ultimately we found like a different strategy. And it worked so well for us that we started going, we could probably build a business around this, because so many folks in my own network wanted to know what we were doing. But it was a true labor of love. Like I was waking up at 4 a.m., very similar timetable to you, Vincent, on that one side hustle you were mentioning, where I was up at 4. I was doing 2 hours of work at least on every single day before I would go in and lead a team at my day job, and so I think from that first moment, working inside that one company, it was a catalyst for me, and I cannot believe it went all the way through it to the way it did now. I mean, at the intro, you did mention, as a side note, that there was like a kind of a dark decade that happened earlier in my family, in my life. Yep. It was an interesting time. It was a flashback a bit to when I was in my 20s. And I did lose my younger brother to a type of cancer, and it was a long time ago. But at that moment, the ramifications were severe to watch my family's household, like my dad, go through that, because there was just a domino effect, and his business really crumbled because of the many ramifications of that one income stream household. And it sent a shockwave through in such incredible ways. There's a lot of downsizing that went into their lifestyle. And I'm sitting there going, man, that one active form of income that he had going in his business is a similar structure to the one that we have now for our family. Mm-hmm. And I mean, but to be clear, like Jennifer, my very capable and amazing, co-founder, who's also my wife, she had her own career as well, but we were tied to the job. I mean, and our family's livelihood was tied to the job. And I saw an opportunity there to do something about that, but I didn't know what the path was at first. In typical entrepreneurship fashion, it was like, I can see, call it true north on the compass, if you will, and I don't really know what it means yet, though. Like
Well,
I don't know what is the correct exact strategy. I don't know what the right tactics are as a result of that. I would say the first 18 months that I was building our business on, night mornings and nights and weekends,
mhm.
and I was effectively helping, at first colleagues, and then eventually total strangers that find our business to invest in, syndications and funds and all these things. The biggest challenge was at first, I wish I could go back and put even more into it, frankly,
Of course.
because the early velocity is so key. And I look at the trajectory or the arc of our growth. Like, we're so blessed now to be growing at the way we are, primarily
Mhm.
from referrals and word of mouth from happy investors. But beyond that, early on, I treated it more as a hobby in the first 12
Me
months.
too.
And it wasn't because I wasn't interested. It was because I hadn't really seen what the outcome and potential of the business could be. And I wasn't necessarily an entrepreneur beside the stuff I'd worked inside of multiple other entrepreneurs' businesses and rallied behind their vision and
Mhm.
cause. And not just my dad's, but 5 other companies. And so I didn't realize necessarily how much that early velocity can change the entire trajectory of the business. So I wish I had gone from hobbyist to, full conviction, significantly more hours, even doing what I had to do on the weekends, during that first 12 months.